It basically got to the point where Otterburg could not be opened anymore. And
hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of City Skylines, conspicuously not in Otterburg. In case you couldn't tell from the last few videos, the save game for Otterburg was getting bogged down with a lot of lost assets, and couple that with my aging machine, and it basically got to the point where Otterburg could not be opened anymore, and it's basically a corrupted file. No matter what I seem to do to the save game, it gives me errors, and the game crashes on startup. So what I did to soldier on, basically, was wipe City Skylines off of my machine, reinstall it, re-download all of the mods that I wanted to use, and restarted the game. I took the opportunity to look up a new map that I wish to play. So this map is called Glacier National Park, St. Mary's. I forget who it's by, but it is based on a real-world location, Glacier National Park in the United States, and apparently the map was made by actually looking at elevation data for the location and just minorly tweaking it. So this is our starting square, and there's some flat areas around here, and there's obviously it's Glacier National Park, so there's a lot of mountains and small streams and things like that. It's a very dynamic park. Wouldn't you know it, though, that the first recording I did in our new, as yet unnamed city, the file was corrupted in terms of the audio. I didn't record the audio, so I'm actually doing this as a post-recording voiceover. So here I'm actually going into the options for the Achieve It mod, and I'm resetting the unique buildings that we've unlocked. I want to earn the unique buildings. Here it is under miscellaneous settings, reset unique building unlocking. By clicking this and saying yes, it locks all of the unique buildings that we've unlocked with previous cities, and basically gives us a fresh start, and that's something that's important to me. So by clicking that, all of my unique buildings are now locked up again, and yeah, it's a fresh start. So this game, I'm hoping to make a few changes to the way that I play the game in terms of a difference from the way Otterburg was played. My goals for this playthrough are to build what is essentially a more organic city. I really enjoyed Otterburg, but towards the end, where we were building entire neighborhoods all at once, it started to take on kind of a too well-planned feel to it. Like, it was obviously apparent that each neighborhood was built all at once and not built up over time. And not that it was bad, but I'm trying to get a more organic feel to this new city. So here I am trying to get my graphical settings correct. I'm just admiring the color of the sand and grass here. The last map we played, if you ever saw an episode where I did not change the graphical settings, it looked like it had been colored in by a 4-year-old with a pack of Crayolas. But I'm really liking this graphical setting that we have here on the map. It's very pretty and pleasing to the eye with the shades of green and the details and the dirt color, etc. So yeah, so my goal with this build is to have an organically grown town, and not pre-plan too much in terms of each neighborhood. Like, for example, what I don't want to do is, plop down a street knowing that in the future we're going to be bulldozing this whole area because we're about to unlock high density things, and so we're going to wipe out all the low density in the city, and that's not what I want to do. I don't want to erase the starting points basically of my city for the sake of, I guess, aesthetics. What I would rather do is, as a goal, kind of have like more of a hamlet style, to my city, where let's just say that this is our starting block, right? And we're going to build this block up using low density everything, and eventually we're going to get to the point where we say, well, we need to build a large block of a new neighborhood, rather than just building it out in the existing area, like tacking it onto this new to this existing neighborhood and just making it larger and larger and larger until we have a huge urban sprawl. What I'm hoping to have is a series of smaller towns, and eventually we'll have a city center somewhere else, but this will always remain kind of like a small town that we start at. So here, what you're seeing me doing here is another goal of this city is going to be getting away from the rigid grid that I tend to end up as a slave to when playing. I tried to work organic shapes into Otterburg before, and it worked to a limited extent, but in my quest for a more natural, seemingly organically grown town, I'm trying to follow the terrain here. A lot of American small towns that were built on streams and rivers tended to have a facing road where you had businesses and industries on the river or on the stream. You'll see it a lot, in like the Mississippi River Valley, where your town is basically oriented around the river and not necessarily a rigid grid. That's not to say that grid aspects didn't exist or don't exist in American towns. They obviously do, but the city was not a slave to the grid. It was much more that the city was a slave to the terrain. So here's where I'm planning on having just a small industrial area, kind of like you come off the highway and you have an industrial area. And so I think that would be beneficial, just to have like an identified area. I'm trying not to spend too much money at this point, because we haven't even started building, say, electricity or water at this point, but we're already laying out the general structure of our city. So here we are putting in our first electric. Really the only place to put wind power, I favor wind power, in case you haven't noticed, is this small spot of land up on a peninsula across the little river from our main highway access. So I'm placing that. I favor water towers now rather than pumps and drains, simply because I like to keep the existing streams and whatnot free of my influence in terms of, a water pump drawing down a whole stream would be rather strange from, just a logical standpoint. Like a town would consume an entire stream water flow. There's not seem logical, so I like to use the water tower instead. And same goes for the drain. I don't like to use the drain because I like to keep the pollution out of the river for obvious reasons, both game mechanics and because it's more real world applicable. That, you know, in America we have water treatment plants. We don't just dump. Actually, it's not even an American thing. So I don't know of any developed country that does just dump sewage straight into a stream. I'm sure it's got to happen somewhere, but so here I am trying to use a variety of roads in order to keep my town, I don't know, varied. You know, use the word twice in one sentence. Sure, why not? I want to go that way. Put it down there, and then I immediately don't like it because I don't like having intersections that close together. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll make a U, I guess, right here. Like that, and like that. Yeah. That's a little alley, I guess, where people are going to live in their quiet little homes. Like I said, water drain pipe, no thank you. And here I'm just comparing the differences between the drain pipe and water treatment plant. Really the only difference is that the inland water treatment plant has a pollution of 100, which refers to ground pollution, not water pollution. And all other things are the same. The upkeep, the cost, and the drain capacity. So by placing the water treatment plant, we keep the pollution out of the river. So that's worth it in my book. So if I place it here, ding, and connect it, ding. There we go, water treatment plant out by the highway. Keep it away from downtown. So we're just going to start making our neighborhood. I want to keep that entrance road area for commercial. In the short term, that's going to be our commercial district. As well as the river too. The river will also be commercial, because I feel like that's pretty standard. The businesses tend to be along the waterway. I think here's where I realize that I don't have the auto budget mod, which I go ahead and basically leave a note for myself that I need to download it. So I've got to bring power to my treatment plant, and from there over to my water tower, before I realize I'm probably going to have to go here and over here. So that should bring power to my utilities. So here I'm admiring some of the content creator packs that I've downloaded since Otterburg went kaput. So that was, I believe, an Art Deco building, residential building. And I think the other one that you can probably see now is English Suburbia, or European Suburbia, one of those. Content creator pack, which just changes the models of some of the houses that we're building. So here I am, realizing I never gave these people water, so silly. Here I am turning my stomach at the thought of putting a water main under a bunch of people's houses, which is a big no-no in the engineering community, and instead I run it down the road, which is normal. Yeah, it's a big no-no to put water or sewer under someone's home, because God help you if something happens to that water or sewer main, because you are not getting to it. Not in America, you're not. Because there's a house on top of it. So here I am just expanding the future road network of my town. I hate the way it says it's 90, but it's not, so got to do a little tweaking to make sure that it works correctly. See there, it's still not 90. You've got to be very particular about how you lay out. See, that's 90, because the zoning squares to the north side of that road are actually contiguous. So there we go. If you want your zoning squares to be contiguous, you have to make sure you're exactly 90 degrees. And here I think I'm planning on putting in another neighborhood with a dirt road, gravel road. So I think I make it another U. Nope, I don't. I just make it a cul-de-sac, which is fine. And then eventually I'll put a pathway there once we unlock pathways. Make a nice little alley for people to walk back to their houses from. Follow the road more or less. So here I am zoning the industrial portion of my starting town, deciding to stay away from the entrance area of the town, and instead, reserve that for commercial buildings. I will, however, put industry right up against the river. I know that does cause pollution, but historically speaking, industries were right on the river. So if I want to make an authentic, realistic map, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put industry right up against the river. So that electrical grid is now connected, and I can get rid of, well, some of those pylons. Not operating. Why would an inland water treatment plant not be operating? Why? Well, because we don't have enough electricity. See, there you go, we're in the red. So, might as well crank that up to 100. And here I blow 2 minutes with my OCD trying to get exactly 100%, and it's infuriating. Nope, 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 almost. 100%. Yay! That should fix our electrical problems. And complete the work there. There we go. See if we can't get rid of some of these pilings. And instead, route the power through here. It should free up some space for more industrial zoning. I like the model for this building because I like the skylights. If I'm remembering correctly to when I'm actually playing this game, I'm talking about how I always wanted, fantasy to have a loft with skylights like that. Like an old warehouse, a loft apartment in an old warehouse in the city where you have cool skylights like that. You can get out onto the roof through your skylight. Maybe have your bedroom right up there, so that way you have an entire wall of lights. Just like a cool city apartment. Obviously, those types of things are super expensive, and I am not made out of money. So we're just going to expand the residential here real quick. Shouldn't be too hard by just plopping down those two huge areas. We're already in the green in terms of money. We're down to $29,000 from the $70,000 starting fund. But here we are, we're already turning a profit. So just follow along one of these guys going into one of the neighborhoods, I guess. And you can see my windmill in the background. That's a pretty nice view with the street heading straight for it. So yeah, some of these houses are definitely the English suburbia that he's driving on the lawn. House model, which I actually enjoy. I think that the more variety in building types that you have, the better your city ends up looking. So you don't see the same building over and over and over again. Which ironically, seeing the same building over and over again is exactly what happens in the real world. Because modern day suburban developments are what is essentially the same house regurgitated dozens and dozens of times, which is a shame. But looks terrible in the game, but it's actually kind of accurate. So if I'm remembering correctly here, I'm trying to change the light balance so that the white buildings and cars aren't so washed out. It was starting to bother me the way that I think here the second we pan to a white car, and it is like white. Like that SUV. Yeah, see, it's like it's a block of white. So we start to fool with the latitude and longitude. And I think what I end up doing is I set the latitude and longitude to the actual Glacier National Park just by looking it up online and getting a rough lat and long for the park, and I actually set it to the accurate location. So in theory, the lighting in my map is the lighting that is actually present in the park. So we'll see that here in a second. Here we are setting the latitude and longitude for the actual park. I think it's 48 latitude and 113 longitude. Close enough. And just overwriting the preset. So that way it's the same every time I go to record. So, white things are still pretty bright, not gonna lie. But at least they're not completely washed out and destroyed visually. So I can already tell we're getting a little pollution here, which is because I did not get the mod for no radioactive desert. So I end up downloading it basically after I record this episode. Here I think I'm commenting on the fact that the building foundation is going to make the water go a little janky in the stream behind the town, but such is life. So we'll see what that ends up doing. Here I'm remarking that I can't even take a look at pollution yet, because we haven't even hit the milestone that allows us to do that. Alright, I'm just putting in a second wind turbine to augment my power production. And here we reached Little Hamlet. 440 people have moved in. You get to have garbage and healthcare and education. Oh my. And I think at this point I'm realizing just how many achievements are actually a part of this game, and that I have met shockingly few of their requirements. So, 20 transportation lines? How do I not have that? Huh. Just reconnect the electric grid that way to clear up the zoning, so that I don't have to worry about taking up zoning from cables. And here I'm lamenting the lack of the electric roads mod, I'm pretty sure. So it's about time to start thinking about meeting any kind of future residential demand by expanding the residential area of the town away from it. So here I am, just putting down some extra blocks. And then, of course, the associated little gravel streets that allow me to have, secluded areas for neighborhoods. Secluded streets, not throughways, etc. A little more residential. I don't like parking on the main thoroughfares of my town, no matter how small. So I'm just getting rid of parking spots on the main way in and out of my city. So I guess at this point I realized that I had one-way streets unlocked all along. I decide to make my main drag in and out of the city a series of one-way affairs, just to speed up traffic flow a little bit. Keep that two-way, make that one-way. So our city's making some pretty good money per tick at this point, $1,600. And so I think at this point I'm starting to think about expanding to the other side of that stream there in order to keep my expansion a little more organic. Here I am building a bridge over the stream, trying to get that pillar there to fall on the rock. I know I can move it with the Move It mod, but I'm trying to keep it symmetrical, so I think I decide on that, and the pillar ends up spawning in kind of on the rock anyway, so well done me. That one around. And turn that road into a one-way as well. So here I am trying to follow the organic shape of the stream in order to keep my city organically growing and not a slave to the grid that I end up falling into so typically. So here I am just curving the road around a little bit just to follow the stream. Here I am expanding the commercial sector along the river and industrial sector along the river on the opposite bank, which is pretty normal for a small American town. Again, just trying to keep it growing in a normal way that, a normal American city would grow. So similar to the other portions along the stream, we're just going to curve this road down here in order to, keep it right up against the embankment of the stream. So at this point, my residents are starting to complain about garbage. So I try to set up a garbage area for the landfill. I try to keep it out of the way and away from water because it's going to be here for a while until we unlock and can... Oh, Worthy Village. We've reached 900. So you get some fire department and police department unlocked, as well as unique buildings. So obviously not a lot of progress on the unique buildings, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. Forestry and agriculture specialization I'm looking forward to, because that'll be a lot of money from those industries that'll start pouring into the city. So here we go, landfill right up here. Although in retrospect, now that I'm looking at it, I'm pretty sure we have the recycling center that we could also unlock and use. And then just filling in the gaps with water mains. So here come the trucks rolling out, which is good. They'll cover all my sins, and that should be good. So at this point, I start thinking about services for my small town. Of primary concern to me is education. Higher educated people bring in more tax money and demand better jobs. So I like to put down a school as soon as possible, just so that way I can start getting people through the education system and raising my tax base. So I'll be putting it on this main residential road back here. It sacrifices 2 houses, but it covers basically the entire neighborhood, which is perfect for me. quite know what I'm saying there, but I'm flailing my mouse around like a madman, so God only knows what I'm talking about. But, you know, this is the price you pay when you screw up your recording and don't get your microphone audio. Talking about this area. Zoom out, this area. Going out to the map, talking about something. Looking around the map. Yep, freaking out a second. Again, I have no idea what I was talking about there. Probably something about the map and plans for expansion in the future. But in the meantime, let's put down another service. Healthcare, I've got 86 citizens. And I'd like to place down the healthcare clinic. So I think here I'm talking about how the vanilla game actually gives you 2 models for most buildings. I believe it's a European and then an American model, and I'm talking about how I prefer the American models. So it's nothing against the European ones, I just think that the American ones look better, look a little more modern, and a little more clean in terms of the lines of the building. Again, the same thing happens with the firehouse, and I think with the police station as well. It's that you know, the buildings are identical in terms of game mechanics, but I just prefer the lines of the, I think it's the American firehouse at this point, so I think I put it across from the clinic. Yep, there it is. Again, with the police station, although I believe I'm lamenting the $480 per week upkeep for this building, especially when my crime rate is so low. But there we go. Yeah, so here I think I'm resetting the budget for the water system, lamenting the lack of total auto budget, the total auto budget mod. So. Not a bad looking little town so far. Here I am just setting up a little bit of the traffic management in order to make my one-way streets function a little better.
And destroyed visually. So I can already tell we're getting a little pollution here. which is because I did not get the mod for no radioactive desert. So I ended up downloading it basically after I recorded this episode. Here I think I'm commenting on the fact that the building foundation is going to make the water go a little janky in the stream behind the town. But such is life. So we'll see what that ends up doing. Here I'm remarking that I can't even take a look at pollution yet, because we haven't even hit the milestone that allows us to do that.
So, we made it to Tiny Town, 1,400 people. We unlocked a lot of stuff, including parks and industries and concerts. I forgot I got the concerts DLC, so we'll have to look into that. But yeah, a lot of pathways and canals and fences, and parks, obviously. Yeah, we'll have to look into all these next time. I think we're just going to go out on this garbage truck. Anyway, this is it for the inaugural episode of my as-yet unnamed city here in City Skyline. I'd really like to hear what your ideas for a city name are, so please leave them down in the comments below, and while you're at it, feel free to subscribe and leave a like. Oh, look at those wind turbines. They're so nice. Yeah, so I will catch you guys next time on City Skyline in whatever city this is. I guess we'll decide. Peace!